Last year I took the most transformational trip of my entire life. That might sound dramatic, but I fear that it is the truth. In that I took a solo trip to Paris, and the confidence and things I learned along the way changed my life, changed my perspective, and I feel like now I operate with a very different mindset when it comes to doing things alone and all of that. However, I recognize that taking your first solo trip and even your first international solo trip can be incredibly overwhelming, and there are a few things that I wish I had known prior to taking that trip. So today I wanted to share the things that I wish someone had told me ahead of taking that first trip, as well as just a quick run through of some general safety tips, because my dad would be proud that I'm sharing these with you. Before we get into it, I'm Maddie. I am a 20-something on a mission to empower you to get out, try new things, do things alone, and not necessarily wait for someone to do them with. If you like this video and you're brand new, definitely make sure to subscribe, because I am doing my best to post a new YouTube video every single week. I did in fact write these down because I didn't want to miss anything. Okay, number one, the first 24 hours do not count. When I first arrived in Paris, I had done all this research and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take like this train and it's gonna get me there. And then lo and behold, the train was not working. So I took a bus to another bus, and then I got on a train, and then I got on the metro. Like, it was an excursion just to arrive to the start of my trip. So I feel like when I finally arrived to my flat, I was tired, jet lagged, and very much overwhelmed. So it's important to note, when you first get to your destination, your nervous system is likely going to be on overdrive. And it's important you acknowledge that feeling and then not let it dictate and determine how the rest of your entire trip is going to be. Allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to potentially think that you want to go home. You can even allow yourself to Google some return flights. Admittedly, I did do that. Let the 24 hours pass and give yourself time and a full day to acclimate. I think it can be particularly helpful to call a friend or a family member at this time to just like allow you to touch some grass. But I think the thing that really shocked me was a lot of the videos I saw about solo travel was just like, I arrived and like I hit the ground running and I had so much fun. And I subconsciously, after seeing those videos, was like, is there something wrong with me? I feel miserable right now. Like, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? So remind yourself that the first 24 hours do not count. The second thing I wish someone had admitted or been truthful about is the fact that eating alone is often harder than people like to admit. I went into my trip having had not a lot of experience when it comes to dining alone. I don't really go out to eat a lot with friends, so I'm not someone who, if I'm gonna spend time by myself, thinks to like go out to get dinner. I feel like right now I'm navigating a lot of different like food and health things, and it just like is not top of my list. So when I took this trip, I definitely had the added fear or discomfort of dining alone. And I feel like I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to social media, but a lot of the TikTok videos and reels you see are people like dining alone and reading their book and acting super nonchalant, and like it's not difficult at all. And I just want to recognize that like it's okay for it to feel uncomfortable, especially when you also had like a language barrier with your server or bartender or something like that. So if you're feeling a little bit stressed out about it, just, remind yourself that it's totally normal. The other thing I'll say is during my time in Paris, I took a quick little trip over to London and found it a lot more comfortable to sit at the bar, because bartenders not only give incredible local recommendations, but they also are really great at making conversation and making you feel comfortable. So shout out to my bartender on my London trip before I went to see the Devil Wears Prada musical. He was fabulous. So that is also a really good option if you want something that feels a little less scary. The other thing I like to remind myself is that it gets easier and easier every time as you get more and more practice. Kind of like anything in life, the more you do it, the more confidence you get. So just remind yourself that as scary as the first time is, it won't be nearly as scary on the second time. The next piece of advice that I actually think I followed, not intentionally, and more so because life got a little busy and I didn't nearly have as much time or patience to like fully plan my trip as I anticipated. But I really liked allowing myself to kind of have flexibility with my calendar and schedule. I am not necessarily a traveler who is like, at 8:30 I'm going to do this and then I'm going to go to this exact cafe. I like to kind of see my time there and place in the big items I want to go check out, specifically if there's something that you have to book a ticket for or something like that. And then when it comes to restaurants or cafes, I like to have a map, like a Google map of places that people recommend. And when I have free time and I'm looking for a coffee or some sort of lunch, I can pull up that map and see what I'm nearby. I feel like that allows you to kind of follow the plan based on how you're feeling. And especially in the first few days, you might be acclimating and adjusting. And then it also doesn't feel like a failure if you don't hit every single thing that was on the agenda, because if you're type A like me, you want a gold star and you want to check things off the list. The next important reminder is that independence does not mean isolation. I feel like when I first went on my trip, I was like, okay, everyone, I'll see you in a month, and thought subconsciously that I was not going to talk to anyone else from home. And in fact, I think it should be the opposite, and you should actually schedule in calls to home. I have a weekly call with a friend where we kind of talk about personal life and business because we have a long distance friendship. And I was so grateful that we kept our original call time, because we had that phone call at an exact moment that I needed it. I think it was in the first 48 hours, my nervous system was a wreck. And so having that familiar, calming voice and presence in my life felt really grounding. And it also reminded me that even though I'm, distance wise far away from everyone I know and love, they're actually only a phone call away. So it allowed me to feel supported, even though I was kind of exploring the concept of independence. My next piece of advice is to be open to new relationships or friendships. Originally, when I went on this trip, I was fully under the premise of it's a solo trip. I'm going to spend time alone. I'm going to obviously interact with people here and there where it makes sense, but I'm not going to set out to go on a date or make a new friend. And the opposite, in fact, happened. I did go on a date only because we did have a meet cute on the Seine at sunset. I think I have a whole podcast episode about it. I think the episode is called the meet cute that ruined my dating life. So if you want the full story, I will put it in the description. But we only went on 2 dates, but I was open to exploring that. And then I also met incredible friends in Paris that I still keep in touch with. So I think it's a good reminder of be open to those opportunities. You don't have to set out to make new friends and meet new people, but you never know. And I think sometimes the universe brings people into your life when you least expect it, but when you need it most. The next tip is for my fellow budget travelers like myself, and that is to budget for comfort. It is not a luxury. I think when you are solo traveling, it is important to budget in a little bit of extra money for a taxi or extra whatever it is, so that way you feel more comfortable. I can sometimes cut corners when it comes to financial things to save money. And at the end of the day, comfort is safety, especially when you are traveling alone. So I think it's important to kind of plan for that ahead of time. So that way you're not in a position where, it costs a little extra money for you to be safe and you feel guilty or stressed out about that. It's just, in my opinion, not worth it. Your safety is a priority, especially if you are in a foreign country. The last thing that I feel like people talk about, and I never fully believed until I experienced it myself, that is that you will come home changed. I'm a firm believer that solo travel builds self-trust faster than anything. You learn how to really tap into your independence, your joy in doing things by yourself, your guide, your internal instinctual guide. And it is an unparalleled experience. Any woman that I meet who's thinking about taking any sort of solo trip, I immediately am that's the best money you're ever going to spend. No book, dinner, course, anything like that is going to compare to going for it and putting yourself in a situation like that, because it is so transformational. And to be clear, that's not just an international trip. Like I think any sort of solo thing, whether it's, you know, you're taking a trip to the town over, to the city over, to a different state, like the process of learning to enjoy your own company is the same. And so I definitely recommend it. It also helps you realize that you can handle so much more than you thought. Like when I think back to me navigating, getting from the airport to my flat, like with my phone and Google Translate, a piece of me is like, how did I do that? But I just knew instinctually, like I figured it out. I knew I could handle it and I had to trust my own abilities. So I feel like it's also a really great reminder for that. And then the best part is that all of that confidence comes home with you. And I feel like you are able to see kind of the trickle down effects of it as well. I figured I would end this with my 3 quick safety tips that you might already know, but I think they're worth repeating. Number 1 is do not ever post things in real time. Even if you have the smallest Instagram audience, even if you think that no one is going to see your TikTok, like it does not matter. You have to be smart and safe. So I feel like I post days, if not like weeks later sometimes. Like your safety is paramount. So keep that in mind, even though it is fun to document the entire experience and share it with friends and family and followers and all of that. Like just prioritize your safety there, please. The next one is to keep track of your things. I'm in New York right now for work and jokingly was like, I love a bag within a bag. But it's true. Like I love to have little bags of my things organized. And I know one is like cosmetics, one is filming things, one is like electronics and computer. Like I find that traveling that way allows me to really keep track of my things. And I think when you keep track of your things, you feel well equipped to deal with any sort of situation. So definitely recommend making sure to keep track of your things, especially your passport. And finally, the last safety tip is to trust your gut. I feel like if you have a gut feeling about something, whether it's like not feeling safe or you're feeling apprehensive or just like something feels off, trust it. It is always better to be safe than sorry. And I'm a firm believer in like your gut is your guide and your gut knows what's up, so you have to listen to it. That wraps up this video. I'm not gonna lie, recording this got me super excited for an upcoming solo trip that I have planned that I will be taking you along on. If you're planning your first solo trip, definitely be sure to save this video. Let me know where you are headed in the comments because I'm always looking for new recommendations. And if you've already taken a solo trip, share with us what is one thing you wish you knew ahead of that first trip. So that way people can benefit from anything I might have missed. That wraps up this video and I will see you in the next one.